According to Mary Charlotte Goding, 2023, in recent years, especially 2021, podcasts have become widely popular in the US. They're entertaining, some provide great advice, and others can transport you to completely different worlds. One such podcast is called Not Lost, and I've been a listener since October of last year. In this presentation, I hope to introduce the host and guests and talk a little bit about what the podcast is about. First, I'll explain the basic setup of each completed season. Next, I'll introduce the host and guests. And finally, I'll talk about the current status of the podcast. Let's begin by looking at seasons 1 and 2. In season 1 of Not Lost, the host is accompanied by his best friend as they travel to various parts of North and South America and Canada, such as Montreal, Mexico City, and Portland. In these locations, they go to various landmarks and talk to the locals to try and get a sense of what it's like to live there. And the end goal for each episode is to either be invited or to invite others to join them for dinner. Now, in season 2, the host is no longer traveling, and instead, he is in his studio and invites several guests who have either frequently traveled or have written about traveling, and he basically interviews them. Now, the host and creator in question is Brendan Francis Newnham, and according to Pushkin Industries 2023, he is also the vice president of Pushkin Industries Pushkin Industries Audiobooks program, and he is also the creator of podcasts such as the Dinner Party Download and the Paris Review podcast. His best friend, who accompanies him in season 1, is Danielle Henderson, and according to her website, the About page of her website, she is also the TV writer for shows such as Maniac, Divorce, and Dare Me, and she's also the author of The Ugly Cry and Feminine Ryan Gosling. Now, in season 2, as Brendan explains in the first episode, titled Not Lost Chat, Roadwork, Andrew Sean Greer, and Jay Farrow, he plans to bring on writers, basically, and interview them. And in the second segment of each episode, he brings on some kind of musician or actor or some other professional to talk travel, basically. And some of these musicians and actors and others include Jay Farrow, who is a comedian, and Canadian singers Tegan and Sarah. Now, regarding the current status of the podcast, in the last episode of season 2, Brendan explains that he was inspired by his previous guests to start traveling again, and he goes on a hiatus. He continues to post about the podcast or his travels on his social medias, but outside of that, he's not interacting with the viewers in the podcast at the moment. Instead, he's been uploading episodes from various other podcasts under the same company, Pushkin, such as The Happiness Lab and A Life in Lyrics, who so far have talked about well-being and the lyrics of Eleanor Rigby, respectively. Now, to recap, we talked about the Not Lost podcast, and we got to know a little bit about the host and some of his guests. We talked about the basic setup of each completed season. We got to know the host and guests, and we found out about the current status of the podcast. Like YouTube and listening to music, listening to podcasts has become a very popular form of entertainment, and according to Goding and Newman 2023, it's only expected to grow by 2024. So go ahead and join the craze, and the next time you plan on listening to something while you clean or while you're taking a break, go ahead and give Not Lost a try. Thank you.